When it comes to attracting the attention of a woman, many men mistakenly believe that the key to success is constant pursuit, being available, complimenting her frequently, and trying to win her over with endless attention. However, the truth is that too much attention can actually backfire, making you appear desperate or needy and ultimately less attractive. The real secret to getting a woman to notice you lies in a surprising tactic: ignoring her at the right moments. It may sound counterintuitive, but creating a little emotional distance can spark curiosity and intrigue, making her more likely to take notice of you. This concept is rooted in powerful psychological principles such as scarcity and mystery. When something is rare or hard to get, it becomes more desirable. By pulling back and not constantly seeking her attention, you shift the power dynamic, creating a sense of challenge that naturally piques her interest. The key to this approach isn't to be cold or disinterested, but to withhold your attention just enough to create a sense of mystery. Women are naturally drawn to men who are confident, independent, and who don't need to chase after validation. When you don't give her all of your attention right away, you create the emotional space for her to wonder about you, to think about you, and to miss your presence. In this way, you're actually encouraging her to pursue you rather than the other way around. The surprising power of ignoring her isn't about playing games. It's about making yourself valuable and showing that you have a life, interests, and goals beyond her. This subtle shift can drastically increase her attraction to you and set the stage for a deeper connection. Number 1. The secret psychology of attraction. Why ignoring her makes you irresistible. In the complex world of dating and attraction, many people search for the perfect strategies that will help them form a deeper connection with someone they're interested in. While most of the advice out there suggests that being attentive, affectionate, and constantly available is the way to win someone's heart, there is one surprising strategy that turns this conventional wisdom on its head: ignoring. Now, the word ignoring can often carry negative connotations. It can suggest being rude or dismissive, and in many situations that is the case. But in the world of attraction, strategic ignoring, done in a balanced and respectful way, can be one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal to create genuine interest and emotional investment. At the heart of this strategy is the concept of scarcity. Human beings are naturally drawn to things that are rare, hard to obtain, or in short supply. This is a deeply ingrained psychological tendency known as the scarcity effect, and it applies not only to material goods, but also to relationships and attention. When you're always around, always available, and constantly seeking someone's attention, your presence becomes predictable and expected. Over time, this predictability can diminish the perceived value of your presence, and the excitement that initially attracted her may start to fade. But when you create a bit of distance, when you step back and are less available, it actually makes you seem more intriguing and desirable. The mystery you create by ignoring her, even if just for a short time, triggers curiosity. She will begin to wonder why you're not reaching out, why you seem more distant, or why you're not constantly at her beck and call. This sense of mystery draws her in and makes her invest more emotionally in the dynamic. She starts to feel a sense of urgency, and with it comes an increased desire to understand what you're up to and why you're not as available. This emotional distance fosters a sense of scarcity, and with that scarcity comes an increase in her desire for your attention. By withdrawing a little, you essentially increase your value in her eyes. This emotional space is key in creating desire because it disrupts the emotional equilibrium that comes with constant interaction, and it gives her time to reflect on the connection between you both. She begins to miss your presence, wonder about your intentions, and ultimately feel like you are worth pursuing. Another crucial psychological factor at play when you ignore someone is reactance. Reactance is a concept from social psychology that suggests people will often do the opposite of what they are told or what they feel they are being forced into. In a dating context, this translates to the idea that when someone feels like their freedom to choose or pursue something is restricted, they will often seek to regain that lost freedom. When you stop actively pursuing her, stop texting her constantly, or give her space, it can trigger this reactance response in her. She may begin to feel like she's losing you, or that you're slipping away from her, which can prompt her to act in a way that she might not have otherwise. She may start chasing you, initiating conversations, or putting in more effort to connect with you, simply because the sense of loss creates a deep emotional response. Ignoring her in this context creates a feeling of emotional urgency, a desire to regain what seems to be slipping away, and this emotional response can significantly increase her investment in the relationship. It's important to note that this strategy is not about rejecting her or being cruel. It's about creating an emotional gap that triggers curiosity and intrigue, making her want to close that gap by investing more of her energy and attention into you. This leads to a natural increase in attraction. Moreover, confidence plays a critical role in the effectiveness of ignoring someone. Confidence is a trait that signals security and self-assurance, and it's incredibly attractive. When you are confident, you don't feel the need to constantly chase after someone or seek their approval. You understand your own value, and you know that if someone is interested in you, they will have to earn your attention and time. Ignoring a woman in a confident way, without desperation or anxiety, sends a powerful message. It shows that you have a life of your own, you are emotionally stable, and you are not dependent on her for validation. By not constantly reaching out, you allow her to realize that your attention is valuable, and in doing so, you heighten her desire to earn it. When you step back, she is forced to reflect on your worth, which leads her to invest emotionally in the relationship. This confidence does not come across as disinterest. Rather, it suggests that you have a healthy sense of self-worth and that you are someone who... Number 2. Why women love the chase. The science behind ignoring to attract. The concept of chasing in romantic relationships is a fascinating and often misunderstood dynamic, particularly when it comes to attraction. While many might think that constant attention and affection are the keys to winning someone's heart, the opposite approach, ignoring or creating distance, can often be more effective in attracting the attention of a woman. This seemingly counterintuitive strategy works because of the deep-seated psychological principles that govern human behavior, particularly in romantic contexts. One of the primary reasons women find the chase so compelling is rooted in the principle of scarcity. In psychological terms, scarcity refers to the idea that people tend to place more value on things that are rare, hard to obtain, or unavailable. When a woman perceives that a man is always available, always present, and always seeking her attention, the connection can quickly become predictable and lose its emotional intensity. However, when a man pulls back or ignores her for a short period of time, it creates a sense of mystery and uncertainty. She begins to wonder why he's not reaching out, what he's doing, and whether or not he's losing interest. This uncertainty sparks a deep sense of curiosity and intrigue, which in turn triggers a desire to chase him in order to regain the emotional connection. This need to chase becomes even more compelling when the woman feels that the man is not emotionally desperate, but instead has a life of his own and is confident enough to pull back. The science behind this lies in the concept of reactance, which suggests that when someone perceives that their freedom or autonomy is being threatened, they are motivated to regain it. In the case of attraction, If a man is always around and readily available, it can make the woman feel like she has all the power and control, which can lead to a decrease in attraction. But when the man pulls back, she feels like she's at risk of losing something valuable, which creates a desire to regain that emotional connection. The chase taps into this reactance by making the woman feel like she must earn the man's attention and affection. The more difficult the emotional connection is to obtain, the more she becomes motivated to chase after it. In many cases, women enjoy the chase because it creates a sense of validation. When a woman successfully captures a man's attention after he's pulled back, it feels like a significant emotional victory. It boosts her confidence and reinforces the idea that she is worthy of his attention, especially if she perceives him as someone of high value. The chase, in this sense, is not just about winning someone's heart. It's about reinforcing self-worth and testing one's ability to navigate the complexities of emotional connection. Additionally, the idea of chasing taps into a primal psychological need for emotional investment. When a woman feels like she has to work a little to win someone's attention, it encourages her to invest more emotionally in the relationship. This emotional investment fosters deeper feelings of attachment, as she has to put in effort to win him over, making the connection feel more significant. It's a delicate balance. If a woman feels she's doing all the chasing without any reward, she may become frustrated and disinterested. But if the chase is balanced with moments of emotional engagement and connection, it can significantly increase her emotional attachment and desire to pursue the relationship further. What's more, women are often drawn to men who have a strong sense of self-worth and confidence. When a man is not constantly chasing her or validating her at every turn, it signals that he is emotionally secure and knows his own value. This confidence is incredibly attractive, as it demonstrates that he's not reliant on her for emotional validation or attention. In fact, a man who is confident enough to ignore her at times is often perceived as someone with a high social value, someone who doesn't need to desperately seek attention to feel validated. This feeling of self-assurance creates an emotional magnetism that makes the woman want to chase him even more. The chase is, therefore, not only about the emotional distance created by ignoring, but also about the emotional power and confidence the man projects by not needing her constant approval. It also taps into the psychology of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. The emotional highs and lows of the chase, the moments of connection followed by distance, create a sense of unpredictability that triggers the release of dopamine in both individuals. This cycle of reward and uncertainty creates an addictive dynamic where the emotional highs of the chase make the woman crave more. The unpredictability of the interaction, where he sometimes pulls back and sometimes gives her attention, keeps her emotionally engaged and invested. She wants more of the dopamine-driven rush that comes from trying to earn his attention and affection. Finally, it's important to note that the chase isn't about playing games or being manipulative. Instead, it's about understanding the natural psychological tendencies that govern human attraction and using them to your advantage in a respectful and emotionally intelligent way. The key to making this strategy work lies in maintaining a balance, being emotionally available when it matters, but also allowing for space and mystery when necessary. The act of ignoring, when done with emotional intelligence and confidence, creates a dynamic where both people are actively engaged in the relationship and feel emotionally rewarded for their efforts. The woman, in turn, feels like she is earning his attention, which deepens her emotional connection and makes her want to pursue the relationship even more. When done correctly, the chase becomes a powerful and mutual process that strengthens the emotional bond between both parties, making the attraction deeper and more intense. So, while it might seem counterintuitive, The truth is that women are drawn to the chase because it taps into deep-seated psychological drivers like scarcity, reactance, confidence, and the release of dopamine. It's a powerful emotional dynamic that can turn a simple relationship into a deeper and more meaningful connection. Number 3. Why ignoring her will make you more attractive, and how to do it right. When it comes to attraction and relationships, the idea of ignoring someone may seem counterproductive, especially when society often emphasizes the importance of constant attention and validation. However, there is a hidden psychology behind strategic ignoring that can actually make you more attractive to a woman. The reason why ignoring her, when done correctly, can work in your favor is rooted in deep psychological principles that influence how we perceive value, scarcity, and emotional investment. The first key to understanding why ignoring her can make you more attractive is the concept of scarcity. Human nature is such that we tend to value things that are in limited supply, and this applies to relationships and emotional availability as well. If you are always readily available, always eager to give her your attention, and constantly validating her, your presence becomes predictable and taken for granted. When you're too accessible, there is no element of surprise or intrigue in your interactions, which can diminish her desire and interest. However, when you strategically create emotional distance by occasionally ignoring her, you introduce a sense of mystery. She starts wondering why you're not constantly reaching out or being available, and this curiosity is a powerful trigger for attraction. The mystery makes her emotionally engage with the situation, leading her to think about you more and wonder what you're up to. The emotional distance creates a sense of scarcity, making you seem more desirable. People are naturally drawn to what they can't have easily, and when you pull back, she may feel a stronger desire to win you over, making her more invested in the relationship. This process taps into a psychological principle called reactance, which suggests that when a person feels their freedom is being limited or threatened, they will often desire it even more. In this case, when you stop constantly pursuing her, it may trigger a response in her where she feels like she needs to regain your attention and approval. This is an incredibly powerful dynamic because it forces her to invest more in the interaction. She has to chase you rather than you chasing her. This type of emotional push-pull creates a more intense and lasting connection. Ignoring her in a confident, self-assured way also signals to her that you have your own life and your own boundaries, which is a very attractive quality. Confidence is universally recognized as one of the most attractive traits a person can possess. When you don't feel the need to constantly seek her attention or validation, it shows that you are secure in yourself and that you don't depend on her for emotional fulfillment. This makes you appear higher value, which naturally increases your attractiveness. Women are often drawn to men who are emotionally independent and don't feel the need to always be chasing their approval. By not being overly available, you make her realize that your attention is valuable, and she will start to work harder to earn it. Another key factor in why ignoring her makes you more attractive is the concept of emotional investment. Relationships and attraction thrive on emotional give and take, and when you always give without pulling back, the emotional equilibrium of the connection can become unbalanced. By strategically ignoring her, you allow her to feel a sense of challenge and excitement. She starts to invest more emotionally because she has to work for your attention. This dynamic naturally increases the depth of her feelings for you, as emotional investment often leads to attachment. When she has to chase after your attention or approval, it strengthens the emotional bond and makes her feel more emotionally connected to you. The key to making this strategy work is to know how to ignore her in the right way. Ignoring her doesn't mean being rude, disrespectful, or completely cutting her off. Instead, It's about creating healthy space without completely withdrawing. It's about having the confidence to allow moments of silence to pass between conversations, and to be okay with giving her the space to miss you. If done in a tactful, respectful way, it signals that you're not desperate for her attention, but rather that you have your own life and priorities, and she needs to meet you halfway to truly connect. The art of ignoring her lies in finding the right balance. If you're too distant or aloof, she may feel neglected and the attraction may dissipate. However, if you manage to pull back just enough to create intrigue without causing her to feel rejected or frustrated, you're more likely to see her interest grow. By doing so, you're allowing her to come to you rather than you always chasing her, which creates a healthier, more natural dynamic between the two of you. It's important to recognize that this strategy should always be used in conjunction with being a genuinely thoughtful and engaging person. Ignoring her doesn't mean completely shutting down emotional connection or ignoring her needs. Instead, it means understanding the psychology behind human attraction and using it to your advantage. The key is to pull back when necessary, but still engage in moments of meaningful connection. Women, like anyone else, are naturally attracted to someone who can maintain balance, someone who knows how to draw her in and let her miss him without coming off as disinterested or uncaring. It's this blend of confidence, emotional independence, and strategic space that makes ignoring her an effective tool to enhance your attractiveness. Ultimately, ignoring her isn't about playing games or being cruel. It's about using psychological principles to your advantage in a way that fosters genuine connection and emotional depth. By pulling back, you become the prize that she has to chase, and this dynamic can create a relationship that is more emotionally fulfilling for both of you. Number 4. The hard-to-get principle: how ignoring women triggers desire and attraction. The hard-to-get principle is a powerful psychological concept that revolves around creating emotional distance to enhance attraction and desire. It's a principle deeply rooted in human behavior and attraction theory, and it might seem counterintuitive at first. By ignoring or withdrawing your attention from a woman, you can actually increase her desire for you. This is because the principle taps into one of the most basic psychological truths. People desire what they can't easily have. When a woman feels that your attention is always readily available, she may take it for granted and may not appreciate it as much as she would if it were harder to obtain. On the other hand, when you create emotional distance by occasionally pulling back, you introduce an element of mystery and uncertainty, which immediately makes you more intriguing to her. The fear of losing something valuable or the worry of being ignored can trigger a deeper emotional response, making her more likely to pursue you. This dynamic works because of the principle of scarcity, the idea that we are drawn to things that are in limited supply. When you are constantly available, your presence becomes too familiar, and familiarity often breeds indifference. But when you're hard to get, when your attention is unpredictable, you become more valuable in her eyes. This shift from availability to scarcity makes her work harder to gain your attention and approval, which not only triggers her desire, but also increases her emotional investment in the relationship. This kind of emotional investment, where she feels like she has to earn your interest, creates a strong feeling of attachment, as people tend to value things they have to work for. This is where the concept of the chase comes into play. The idea of chasing isn't just about running after someone, it's about creating the emotional space and challenge that causes her to pursue you. When you pull back or ignore her momentarily, it activates a psychological phenomenon known as reactance, where she feels that her freedom or access to your attention is being threatened. In response, she will often double her efforts to regain your attention, making her more emotionally engaged and attached. At the core of this dynamic is the understanding that attraction often grows stronger through emotional highs and lows. When you withhold your attention for a while, it creates emotional tension that makes the moments when you do engage with her feel more rewarding. This build-up of anticipation and desire increases her emotional attachment as she starts to associate your presence with positive emotions, excitement, and reward. It's also important to recognize that the hard-to-get principle isn't about playing manipulative or mind games. It's about understanding the natural dynamics of human attraction. Women are attracted to men who value themselves enough to create boundaries and maintain their own emotional independence. If you're always available and constantly seeking validation from her, you can come off as needy or insecure, which can kill attraction. By being hard to get, you signal that you have a full life of your own, with or without her, and that your attention is valuable. This makes you appear more high value and self-assured, which are incredibly attractive qualities. The more you demonstrate that you don't need her to feel validated or happy, the more she will desire to win your affection. Another key component of the hard-to-get principle is the idea of emotional space. By occasionally ignoring or pulling back, you create a vacuum in the relationship, which can trigger the desire to fill that space. When you don't always respond immediately or give her your attention, it creates a sense of longing or anticipation. She begins to crave your interaction, and this longing intensifies her emotional connection to you. This emotional space doesn't mean being completely aloof or unresponsive, but rather giving her time to miss you, which makes her appreciate you more when you're present. Importantly, the hard-to-get principle is not about being completely dismissive or emotionally unavailable. The key is balance. If you're too distant, you may come off as uninterested or cold, which could drive her away. However, if you strike the right balance by intermittently pulling back, while still showing occasional moments of warmth and connection, you create an emotional rhythm that keeps her engaged. This dynamic of push and pull builds a strong emotional bond, where she feels a deep sense of attraction not just to you, but to the relationship itself. The ultimate effect of the hard-to-get principle is that it makes you more desirable, not because you're playing games, but because you're projecting the traits of self-confidence, independence, and emotional maturity. Women are drawn to men who have their own lives, their own ambitions, and who are not constantly looking for validation from them. By creating some emotional distance, you trigger a natural instinct to want to earn your attention, and in doing so, you foster a deeper, more genuine connection. So, by understanding and implementing the hard-to-get principle, you can transform the way you interact with women, creating a dynamic where desire and attraction naturally grow over time. By withdrawing your attention at the right moments and making her work a little for your affection, you're not just making her desire you more, you're also laying the groundwork for a deeper, more meaningful emotional connection. Number 5. How to create mystery and attraction by playing hard to get without being cold. Creating mystery and attraction is one of the most powerful ways to spark interest and build emotional connection. And one of the most effective techniques to achieve this is by playing hard to get. However, it's important to understand that this doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. The art of playing hard to get is all about balance. It's about creating emotional space and maintaining independence without completely shutting someone out or seeming uninterested. When done correctly, it sparks curiosity and creates a sense of mystery around you, which naturally increases your attractiveness. The reason playing hard to get works is because it taps into one of the core principles of human nature: scarcity. We are naturally drawn to things that are rare or hard to obtain, and this applies to emotional connections as well. When you are always readily available, When your attention and affection are always guaranteed, it becomes predictable and less valuable. On the other hand, when you create some distance, not by ignoring her completely, but by being a bit unpredictable with your availability, you introduce an element of mystery. This emotional distance makes her more likely to wonder why you aren't always reaching out, or why you aren't as eager to engage as she might expect. Curiosity is a powerful trigger for attraction, and when she's unsure about your intentions or feelings, it can make her want to invest more in understanding you. Playing hard to get means you don't always respond immediately to her texts, you don't always initiate conversations, and you don't rush to give her all your attention. Instead, you allow moments of silence or space to pass, and this creates a healthy dynamic where she feels a sense of anticipation every time you do engage. This anticipation not only builds emotional tension, but also increases her desire for you. However, it's crucial not to take this too far or to come across as cold, indifferent, or uninterested. The key is to maintain warmth and kindness while withholding your attention occasionally. You don't want her to feel rejected or ignored, which can lead to frustration or disinterest. Instead, you want to make her feel like she has to earn your attention and respect, which makes her more invested in the relationship. Think of it as a subtle push-pull dynamic, where you're offering connection, but only after she's put in a little emotional effort to earn it. By doing so, you increase her emotional investment in you, which is a critical component of attraction. Another important aspect of playing hard to get is the confidence it conveys. When you don't feel the need to constantly chase after her or validate her, it shows that you're secure in yourself. It signals that you have a life of your own goals and interests, and that she's just one part of your fulfilling life. This self-assurance is incredibly attractive because it shows that you don't need her to feel complete or validated. Women are naturally drawn to men who have strong boundaries, emotional independence, and self-worth. The moment you stop chasing her and create a bit of emotional distance, you become more mysterious and high value in her eyes. You aren't just another guy who is desperate for her attention, you're someone she has to work to connect with. This creates a deeper sense of investment on her part, because people value things they have to put effort into. But while emotional space can increase attraction, it's essential to keep the balance right. If you're too distant or aloof, you risk making her feel neglected or confused about your intentions, which can backfire. To avoid this, you should still show moments of warmth and genuine interest when you do interact. You can play hard to get without being cold by being affectionate but not overly available, by being engaging but not desperate, and by showing interest without constantly seeking her validation. This creates a natural rhythm of push and pull that keeps the relationship exciting, dynamic, and full of emotional depth. The mystery doesn't come from being emotionally unavailable or cold, but from being able to maintain your own life and interests while creating moments of connection when it feels right. Playing hard to get in this way builds attraction because it makes her feel that she needs to earn your affection, and the emotional connection she forms with you becomes more meaningful and intense. Ultimately, the goal is not to manipulate her feelings, but to create a dynamic where attraction can grow naturally, fueled by your confidence, independence, and emotional maturity. When done with balance and respect, playing hard to get becomes a powerful tool that builds mystery and desire, helping you create deeper and more meaningful connections. Number 6. The art of ignoring. How to use absence to make her want you. More, the art of ignoring someone, when done in a strategic and calculated way, can be a powerful tool for creating attraction and emotional investment. It might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, why would being distant or less available make someone want you more? The answer lies in the psychology of scarcity and desire. Human beings are naturally attracted to what they can't have easily, and the moment you begin to withhold your attention, you introduce an element of mystery and uncertainty that makes you more intriguing. When you're constantly available and always giving someone your time and energy, it can create a sense of predictability, and people often start to take that availability for granted. By ignoring her at certain times, you shift the balance of attention and make her feel that your presence and affection are not guaranteed, which increases their value. The key is not to ignore her completely or be cold, but rather to create emotional distance at moments that allow her to miss you. When you pull back, she begins to wonder why you're not reaching out as much or why your interactions are less frequent, and this uncertainty triggers her curiosity and desire to understand your intentions. This dynamic, often referred to as the absence effect, taps into the idea that people are drawn to what is scarce or harder to obtain. When she feels like she has to work to regain your attention, it adds an element of challenge to the interaction, which can be incredibly attractive. Moreover, the emotional space you create allows her to reflect on her feelings and begin to invest emotionally. She may start to feel like she has something to prove. She wants to earn your attention, your affection, and your approval. This desire to win your attention makes her more likely to prioritize you and engage with you in a way that deepens her emotional connection. Absence also gives her time to appreciate your presence more fully. When you're always around, she might take you for granted, but when you step back and focus on your own life, hobbies, and goals, she starts to realize the value of having you around. The absence makes her appreciate the time and energy you share, and this heightened appreciation increases her attraction to you. However, it's important to remember that the art of ignoring doesn't mean being rude, disrespectful, or completely withdrawing from the relationship. It's about creating healthy space without coming off as uninterested or dismissive. The goal is to make her feel like you have your own life and that your attention is a privilege to be earned, not an automatic entitlement. Playing this dynamic with balance is essential. Too much distance can make her feel neglected or unsure of your interest, which could lead to frustration or even her pulling away. But when done correctly, strategic absence creates a tension and excitement that fuels desire and attraction. It signals that you are emotionally independent, which is an incredibly attractive trait. Women are drawn to men who don't rely on them for their sense of self-worth, who are secure enough to create boundaries and not constantly chase after validation. This confidence in your own emotional sovereignty allows you to withhold your attention in a way that feels natural and empowering, not manipulative or needy. In the end, the art of ignoring isn't about playing games or trying to make her jealous. It's about using emotional space to create an intriguing and mysterious dynamic that fosters genuine attraction. By withdrawing at the right times, you make her earn your attention and affection, which deepens her emotional investment in you and leads to a stronger, more lasting connection. When used with the right intentions and in the right balance, absence can be one of the most powerful tools in attracting and keeping someone's interest. Number 7. How to make her chase you. The power of playing hard to get and ignoring. If you want to create genuine attraction and make a woman chase you, the art of playing hard to get and strategically ignoring her can be an incredibly powerful tool. At first, this may seem counterintuitive. After all, why would withholding attention make someone more interested in you? The key lies in the psychological principle of scarcity and desire. When things are too easy to obtain, they often lose their value. This applies to relationships as well. When you're constantly available, always eager to respond, and excessively attentive, you risk becoming predictable and over-available. Women, like men, are naturally attracted to those who are not too eager or needy for their attention because it signals a lack of self-worth and independence. By playing hard to get, you create a dynamic where she has to earn your attention, making it more valuable and meaningful. The absence of your attention causes her to wonder why you're not constantly reaching out, which in turn creates a sense of mystery and curiosity. The moment she feels that your attention is not guaranteed, she begins to chase it more actively. This phenomenon is rooted in the psychological concept known as reactance, which suggests that people are often drawn to things they feel they might lose or can't easily attain. When you withdraw or ignore her at times, you trigger a natural desire for her to regain that emotional connection, leading her to pursue you more. This dynamic isn't about playing games for the sake of it. It's about creating emotional space and challenge, which naturally increases her desire for you. The more you make her work for your attention, the more she becomes emotionally invested, which in turn strengthens the connection. By pulling back or playing hard to get, you're showing her that your time and affection are not easily won, and that makes her see you as a higher value individual. Another reason this strategy works is that it gives her time to miss you. Constant availability might make her take you for granted, but when you become a little more elusive, she starts to feel the absence of your presence. Absence creates longing, and this longing leads to a deeper emotional connection. It's also essential to remember that the art of ignoring doesn't mean you should be disrespectful or cold. The goal isn't to make her feel rejected or abandoned, but to create an emotional space that fuels the desire to connect. The key to making her chase you lies in balance. You need to create enough emotional distance so she feels the desire to reach out, but you also have to show genuine interest and warmth when you do engage with her. If you're too distant or aloof, she might feel frustrated or uninterested. But when done right, this technique will make her feel challenged and more eager to pursue your affection. Confidence is also a big part of this dynamic. When you play hard to get, you're signaling that you have a full life outside of her and that your attention isn't something that can be easily earned. This emotional independence is attractive because it shows that you're not emotionally dependent on her for validation. In fact, you're teaching her that your time is valuable, and if she wants to enjoy it, she has to prove that she's worth it. This process of earning your attention makes the moments when you do interact more meaningful and intense, leading to a deeper connection. So when you use the power of playing hard to get and strategic ignoring, you're not just making her chase you for the sake of it. You're creating a dynamic where attraction and emotional investment naturally grow over time. You're signaling that you're emotionally independent, high value, and someone who knows their worth. This makes her more likely to be drawn to you and chase your affection, creating a dynamic where both of you feel emotionally connected and deeply invested in the relationship. Number 8. Why women are drawn to the mystery man. How ignoring her can boost attraction. There's something inherently magnetic about the mystery man, the guy who isn't easily read, who doesn't reveal everything about himself up front, and who knows how to maintain an air of intrigue. This type of person often attracts women on a deeper level, and a key part of this allure lies in the strategic use of absence and emotional distance. While it may seem counterintuitive, ignoring her or giving her space can actually make you more attractive because it taps into a fundamental principle of human psychology: scarcity. When a woman perceives that your attention is not always guaranteed, it heightens her desire to earn it. This creates an emotional tension, a gap between her desire for connection and the fact that you're not constantly feeding into that desire. In essence, you become the mystery she wants to solve, a challenge she feels compelled to figure out. Mystery ignites curiosity, and curiosity is a powerful emotion that often leads to stronger emotional and physical attraction. When you don't reveal everything about yourself immediately, or when you hold back a little, it makes her wonder about you, about what's going on in your life, and about what makes you tick. This mystery keeps her engaged and invested in figuring you out, which in turn increases her emotional investment. The more she has to work to understand you, the more she values the moments when you do open up. This element of unpredictability is key. When you don't always respond immediately to texts, when you don't always initiate plans, or when you're not available every time she reaches out, it sends a subtle but powerful message that you have your own life, your own goals, and your own independence. Women are drawn to men who have boundaries, those who are not easily accessible or constantly chasing after validation, because it signals self-respect and confidence. The mystery man is someone who doesn't need to constantly affirm his value through attention. His self-worth comes from within. The beauty of ignoring her at times is that it creates emotional space, allowing her to reflect on her feelings and deepen her attachment to you. It gives her room to miss you and realize what you bring to the table. This emotional absence can actually make her appreciate you more, and it triggers a desire for her to work harder to earn your attention. Scarcity breeds desire. It's a universal truth that applies not only to material goods, but also to human relationships. The more elusive you are, the more she wants to chase after you, to prove her worthiness to be a part of your life. Of course, this strategy is not about being emotionally distant or cold. It's about creating balance. If you ignore her too much or act uninterested, you risk coming across as dismissive or indifferent, which could push her away. The goal is to keep a healthy distance, offering just enough emotional engagement to make her feel like she's valued, but not too much to make her feel like she has everything figured out. The key to being a mystery man is not to be cryptic or disingenuous, but to maintain an authentic emotional presence while giving her the space to want more. When you master this balance between mystery, independence, and genuine emotional connection, you become the kind of person she wants to invest in, the person she feels drawn to and eager to chase. So, by strategically ignoring her and holding back, you actually invite her to draw closer, making her feel that you are someone worth pursuing. The allure of the mystery man lies in the emotional space you create, which allows her desire to build naturally, giving her the thrill of chasing and the satisfaction of discovering a person who has the confidence to maintain his boundaries while still offering her meaningful moments of connection. Number 9. Attract women without trying too hard. Why ignoring her is the key to desire. Attracting women without appearing desperate or overbearing can seem like a challenging task, especially in a world where constant attention is often equated with affection. However, one of the most effective strategies for attracting women is actually not trying too hard. In fact, the key to creating desire often lies in ignoring her at the right moments. It might sound counterintuitive, but by creating a bit of emotional distance, you invite curiosity and mystery into the dynamic. When you're constantly available, always responding to her texts immediately, or making yourself too accessible, you risk appearing too eager and losing the element of intrigue that women find attractive. Ignoring her at certain times doesn't mean being cold or rude. Rather, it's about withholding your attention long enough to make her miss you. When you're not always at her beck and call, you give her the space to think about you, wonder about you, and become curious about your intentions. This absence creates an emotional void that she'll subconsciously want to fill. As humans, we are naturally drawn to things that are scarce, and the more elusive you are, the more value your presence holds in her eyes. When you stop chasing her, you shift the power dynamic, making her feel the need to chase you instead. This strategy taps into the psychological principle of reactance, where people desire what they feel they can't easily attain. By not trying too hard, you position yourself as someone who has boundaries, confidence, and an independent life. Women are often attracted to men who aren't desperate for their attention. because this signals that the man values himself and doesn't seek validation through others. Instead of feeling pressured to constantly impress her, you allow the attraction to build naturally, which leads to deeper and more genuine emotional connections. Ignoring her creates mystery, and with mystery comes attraction. It doesn't mean you should completely shut her out or be emotionally unavailable. It's about creating a balance between engaging with her and leaving her wanting more. When you do spend time together, make sure it's quality time, where she feels like she's truly earned your attention. This makes the moments you share feel more meaningful and exciting. Additionally, the more you focus on your own life, your passions, and your goals, the more you become a high-value individual in her eyes. She will begin to see you as someone who is not easily won, someone who isn't dependent on her for his emotional well-being. This confidence and self-sufficiency are incredibly attractive traits that naturally increase her interest. So, the next time you feel tempted to overextend yourself or chase her constantly, remember that the key to desire often lies in the art of ignoring her at the right moments. By creating some distance, you allow her to come closer, to pursue you, and to invest emotionally in the connection. Ignoring her isn't about playing games. It's about showing that your time and attention are valuable, that you're someone who is comfortable with independence, and that you have enough self-respect to not chase after validation. When done right, this approach will not only make you more attractive, but it will also lead to a stronger, more balanced connection, where both partners feel emotionally invested in each other. Number 10. How to get her to notice you. The surprising power of ignoring her. If you're trying to get a woman to notice you and stand out from the crowd, one of the most powerful and often overlooked strategies is ignoring her at the right moments. While it may sound counterproductive at first, this approach is grounded in the principle of scarcity, which is a key psychological trigger that sparks desire. When you're constantly giving someone your attention, they can quickly become accustomed to it, and the value of that attention decreases. However, when you withdraw or ignore her at certain times, you create a sense of mystery and intrigue, making her more likely to notice you and want to engage with you. The natural instinct when someone pulls back emotionally or physically is to wonder why. This creates curiosity, which drives her to try to figure you out. The less you make yourself available, the more valuable your presence becomes, and this emotional space will make her more eager to win your attention. By ignoring her strategically, you're essentially telling her that you're not desperate for her attention, that you're independent, and that you have your own life and goals that don't revolve around her. This is incredibly attractive because it signals confidence and self-respect, two qualities that naturally draw people in. Women are more likely to be attracted to men who aren't emotionally dependent on them for validation because it shows they have a strong sense of self-worth and aren't afraid to maintain their boundaries. This emotional distance you create by ignoring her doesn't mean you should completely shut her out or act disinterested. Instead, it's about finding a healthy balance between being present and withdrawing at the right moments. When you do engage with her, make sure it's genuine and meaningful rather than just trying to fill the silence. This will make her appreciate your attention even more, and it will increase her emotional investment in you. Ignoring her can also create a subtle form of challenge, which is incredibly attractive. People naturally want what they can't easily have, and when you're not constantly available, she will begin to chase your attention, which often deepens her emotional connection to you. The key to this approach is subtlety. Don't overdo the ignoring, as this could come off as being dismissive or uninterested. Rather, focus on maintaining a bit of mystery, where your presence is valued because it's not constantly handed out. When done correctly, the act of ignoring her becomes a tool to generate more interest and attraction, as it makes her work for your attention, which increases her desire to engage with you. It also signals that you're not easily won and that your emotional energy and time are valuable. By playing it cool and not being overly eager, you create the space for her to recognize your worth and make an effort to connect with you. In the end, ignoring her strategically isn't about playing games. It's about setting boundaries, maintaining independence, and creating a dynamic where she feels compelled to notice you and ultimately pursue you. In conclusion, while it may seem counterintuitive at first, ignoring her at the right moments is a powerful and effective way to attract a woman's attention. The core of this strategy lies in understanding that mystery and scarcity are deeply attractive qualities. By withholding your attention, you create a sense of emotional distance that makes her curious about you and more invested in discovering what you're all about. This emotional space isn't about being cold or indifferent, but rather about demonstrating that your time and attention are valuable. When you aren't always available or chasing after her, you signal that you have your own life, passions and boundaries, which in turn makes you more intriguing and desirable. It's important to remember that this strategy works because it triggers psychological principles that are hardwired into human nature. People desire what they can't easily have. Women are naturally drawn to men who exhibit confidence, independence, and emotional self-sufficiency. By playing it cool and not over-pursuing, you give her the chance to invest emotionally in the connection and to chase after you, which often leads to a more genuine and deeper attraction. However, it's crucial to strike a balance. Ignoring her too much or too often can create the opposite effect, making you appear disinterested or aloof. The key is to create just enough space for her to feel a sense of longing, while still being emotionally present when it counts. Ultimately, ignoring her strategically isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about fostering attraction through emotional dynamics that lead to a healthier, more balanced connection. When done right, this approach can help you get the attention you desire and build a meaningful relationship based on mutual interest and respect.